Testing one, two, testing one, two. Good afternoon to you. It is Wednesday, October 15th at 2:21 p.m. Hope you and yours are doing well. I am at a remote location. Let's just say that at a remote location, away from the normal BS studios. As you can see in the background, I'm not in a Bed Bath and Beyond. But hope you're doing well. Wanted to do this test for a couple of reasons. One, I wanted to react to one thing that's a kind of a story. See what your thoughts were on it. Also, talk a little bit about some of the things that Jay and Anish talked about on Monday evening during the Handsome Hour. And finally, I wanted to um, uh, just take an overview of what, as Purdue looks ahead, how can they keep themselves level-headed? Let me know, everybody who's tuned in. Appreciate you guys being here live, but let me know how the audio sounds. Obviously, I'm doing things through a different way. I'm on completely remote mode. Bad video, worse microphone. So I apologize to everybody if I don't sound good, but let me know how it sounds to you. If it's all clear, at least you can understand what I'm saying. That'd be great. I did a couple tests here just to see if it worked, and it was good enough then, but I don't know how it is now. Before I get too deep into what I was going to talk about, what do you think, the good folks at Home Field Apparel? Head over to homefieldapparel.com, grab a t-shirt, sweatshirt, platinum pack, maybe a hat. Those sweaters are still available. None of you guys have bought me, unless you guys got my size and sent it to me. I don't know. It got lost in the mail. But they got some real classic stuff on there that I would highly suggest you looking at. Homefieldapparel.com. And also, when you're on God's campus, when you're at a game, when you're at Mackey Arena, when you're at Ross-Ade, there's only one way to cap off a day, right? There's just one. That, of course, is a 5 to 7 minute walk, a brisk walk from Victory. Head towards the fire station, turn left, and you can go to AJ's and do what I do when I'm really getting everything I want on a game day. I'll sit down, I'll get some mac and cheese bites. I'll have I had a gyro this last time. I didn't have the Italian beef, but I had a gyro. Um, and get yourself some waffle fries, some Chipotle ranch. Can't go wrong. Grab yourself a pint on game days. You'll get a magnet, and the staff is so good there that recently one of our pals was there on a non-game day, and he requested a boiled sports magnet in the bottom of his pint, and they gave it to him just because they're that way. So you can walk away with a little bit of a souvenir, which is also cool. Burgers, beef, beer. That's AJ's, eatajs.com. So hope everybody's good. Let me see. Audio sounds okay, but not as bassy as usual. Yeah, my voice booms. You know that, Motor City. But no, it's definitely not going to be as high quality. I just want to make sure that I am audible. That's the big thing. It's kind of a test to see if anything else comes up this week if I need to do it. But there are a couple things I really did want to talk about. The first one is, of course, the seats for the Purdue versus Kentucky game have officially gone on sale. They're probably sold out by now, I would think. I checked yesterday or the day before, whenever they became available. I just wanted to see how much they were going to cost at face value. And to get into the exhibition game, it's an exhibition game in Rupp Arena between Purdue and Kentucky. It's going to cost you between $125.49, if I remember correctly. And that was row K in the upper arena in Rupp Arena, which is a long, long way from the action, all the way up to like, I believe, $900 if you want to be down in the J Money seats. I went further and I looked at Vivid seats and wanted to see what it cost. You can still get a $150 ticket way up top. But down low, you're going to get to $1,200, $1,300. Again, J money and A money type money, and it's wild. But the big takeaway from that is not so much that the tickets are expensive for an exhibition game; it's the size of the program and the size of the event that matters right now. Right? Shows how much of a different era we're in. We've been talking about it a lot for the last few years. Cobra Stats has shown a lot about how highly ranked this Purdue team has been. They've been as high as number one 4 out of the last 5 years. I think that's right, 4 out of the last 5 years. And the highest they were ranked last year was six. So even an off year, Purdue gets all the way up into the top 10. How different is that from when you were at school? Or how different is from that from when you just gotten out of school? Pick an era. Maybe we were in middle school. That's always a formative era. But for me, this is different. And I was there when Glenn Robinson was there. I think Purdue got all the way to number two, but they didn't ever get to one, and then they didn't just break through and sit there. Things are different. Things are bigger. And I think it's okay to address these things head on. And it's also okay to say, yeah, none of this matters until it's actually a real season. The thing we know about this team, the thing we know about Matt Painter coach teams the last few years, a couple things. One is when chips are down during the regular season, the team's pretty damn good. They're pretty good in the tournament too, getting all the way to the final. There's also one thing, in spite of the fact that these preseason rankings and even in-season rankings at number one show a change in era, there's one thing this team still needs to do to be considered truly elite. And if we are denying that, I think we're not really being fair. Purdue is Purdue is a really great basketball team, but to break through, I think you got to get a ring. I think it's a fair criticism of a team that's been so good, had so many All Americans come through, so many guys now that are going to the NBA. The next logical step is getting that championship. Will it happen this year? Okay, so here's another great discussion I've had over and over. My buddy Nathan and I have talked via Twitter, and I think there's a real problem with the idea. I know Coach Painter said national or Final Four or bust, national championship or bust. I can't remember exactly, but what he was saying is that's our goal, and he also made a note that even if you don't win the national championship, the program doesn't dissolve or disintegrate. It just didn't get where it wanted. The problem that I have with the idea of fans saying national championship or bust is the disgruntlement or the potential downfall of the entire group, the psyche of us, the general fan, if it doesn't happen. The real issue is that not that Purdue should be thought of as a guarantee to go to the Final Four or anything like that, in spite of the loaded roster, which we all recognize, and in spite of the fact that um, uh, you've got a history now. It's a single elimination tournament. And we saw it with Carson Edwards years ago, how good one team can be when a guy takes a team on his back. And so if you run into that team on that day, it's awfully hard to beat them. Hell, we saw it with Arkansas Little Rock years and years ago when Hammonds and company and Ray Day were on that court. I can't even remember the guy's name, but that Arkansas Little Rock team, they were not as good as Purdue. But they had one player that was launching from about 28, 29 feet away from the basket and hitting it. Purdue didn't figure it out until too late, and they lost the game. My whole point is to say there's only one goal that is palatable, there's only one goal that is acceptable for Purdue basketball. There's only one way to say this was a good season is a pretty rough way to go through this whole thing. And so that whole life or death, um, win at all cost idea, it's fine. It's not the end of the world. I'm not saying accept mediocrity by any means. Remember, there's a long way between mediocrity and winning a national championship, as we know. But I just have a hard time with this idea of saying it's just the national championship or nothing else. And I'm not a guy who thinks this team can't win a national championship. I'm a person that thinks it's just asking a lot to say, can you guarantee a national championship? Think about if you're a college basketball fan, you've been a fan for more than 15 minutes, you can probably say, remember that team that didn't win a championship who was really, really good? That team that was way out in front of everybody all season and still didn't find a way to do it. I think of Kentucky, speaking of Kentucky playing that 35-0 Kentucky team that lost in Indianapolis to Wisconsin in the Final Four. That's one that you could say, man, they should have won a national championship. And that team had so many pros on it. I think they had, if I remember correctly, 6 guys that went in the lottery round of the NCAA tournament. The top 12 picks, 6 guys off one team. That's a pretty good team, right? I don't think Purdue has that this year, regardless of the best case scenario. I think that's asking a lot of a team, right? Also, UNLV in the 90s was a team that everybody thought they were absolutely everybody's darling. They didn't win a national championship. It was that 1991? Okay. So I'm going back a long way, right? What's my point? I'm not saying temper your expectations to the point where you say, okay, they suck. They're not going to do anything. I'm not saying, just saying, take a deep breath, everybody. We haven't even seen this team together on the court. The other thing I want to get everybody ready for, I want to get everybody ready for this. I tried to do it last podcast. I'm going to do it again. That's just saying, hey, Purdue loses exhibition games. Just remember this. If Purdue loses versus Kentucky, which I think they will, do not think all is lost. Just remember history. Remember what happened the last few times Purdue has played an exhibition game. This is what Matt Painter does. He doesn't value exhibitions the same way you and I do. We want to see Purdue win every time they come on the court. Matt Painter says, well, exhibition games don't really count. And in the picture, I think Painter, what he wants these preseason games, these pre-con games to make the team better, including the exhibition game. And I think he believes they'll learn more from that loss that doesn't fall in either column than they ever would in a win in that game. So something to think about in that game. All right, a couple other notes outside of basketball. Wanted to also talk about Crew Wakely has left the team. I haven't seen any more details on this. It just said that he left the team. It's an interesting thing for me, not just that Crew Wakely leaves, the fact that this pre that's not right. Season. This season has not gone the way I think that Barry Odom had hoped. Right, Barry Odom is a guy that said we don't really have time to have a transitional year. We don't have time. Sorry, this headphone is making me nuts. We don't have time. Um, we don't have time to wait around. We're not taking this as a rebuild year. We want to win right away. And so think about all the things that have not gone this team's way yet, right? We talked about how great, and the boys talked about on Monday, how great the Signetti transition at IU has been. It's an impossibly good transition for IU. Perfect schedule. Roster came in perfect. Everybody gelled. They come in and they're dominant. Granted, he is a hell of a coach. Nobody's taking anything away from IU or from Signetti. But everything went their way. Compare and contrast that to what's happened at Purdue, right? Things have not gone their way. From a roster standpoint, you've had a couple ticky-tack injuries that have hurt a little bit. On top of that, now you have a guy who was projected as the starter most season, who was a veteran, who I thought would be a guy, an anchor of that defensive backfield, who now is gone. He's off the roster. I don't know why. He was injured a week ago. I was guessing maybe the injury is worse than we thought it was going to be. I have not. I went to Golden Black real quickly today, try to find an answer. I couldn't find it. Talked to real journalists, see if they know. But I just know Crew Wakely's gone, and it's a guy that many of us, including myself, thought that veteran leadership was going to be really important to anchor this defense, and it's gone. So, finally, one more thing I read on Golden Black I thought was really interesting. One other thing was on the message board. Somebody did an analysis on the dropped passes, and Anish and Jay talked about this, how important that was. If you look at what you had between 6 and 9 drop passes, at least 6, if not all the way up to 9 drop passes. The guy who analyzed it had 9. A couple of those, I'd say, were tougher to catch balls. That I know statistically, the official judgment of that Purdue offense is not that they dropped 9, is that they dropped 6 balls. Um, but 6 to 9 drop passes. On top of that, you had what, 3 personal foul, 15-yard penalties, I think, all face masked by the defense. That's rough. And if you if you take either one of those bad parts of that football game away, Purdue wins. Purdue has that statistically there. Will they put it together this week? Anish and Jay both think so. I too think so. I think it's a classic letdown game for Northwestern to finally get over the hump versus Penn State. And now they come home to the friendly confines. Probably their homecoming, too. I keep joking that everybody's homecoming is against Purdue. Probably their homecoming. And Purdue gets to go to that glorified high school stadium and show if they can actually put together a game. Will they do it this season? I still think they do. I still think there are some games on the schedule that I like Purdue in those games. And it wasn't just Minnesota. I mean, like Minnesota, Northwestern were 2 games that when I said Purdue's going to win 4 this year, there were 2 of them that I thought were possibilities. Now that I know everything about these opponents, or I know as much as I can right now, I see that there are more games on the schedule that Purdue can possibly win. I've talked a little bit about that during Handsome Hours another time, but I wouldn't despair completely if a Purdue fan. I really wouldn't. So we'll see what happens, see if I'm accurate at all. But wow, we got some weird stuff happening down there. Thanks to everybody tuning in live. I'm going to answer some questions or respond with you guys right now. Ryan Lewis is here. How are you? Greg Manis says afternoon QuickCast. Exactly. I'm on vacation, so why not? I'm on a weird schedule. Maybe you can play hooky too. If you are, glad you're here. Motor City Boiler is first. It's getting Caleb first, so but he's actually says second. Really, you were third. I'm gonna be real honest, you were third. So um, Ryan Lewis, great point. Says audio still better than Jay Money. Yes, he was doing that show. You got to respect him though. He was doing it on a CB radio while trekking across the nation. So that was impressive actually. The multitasking. Motor City Boiler says audio sounds okay, not as bass as usual. You told me that earlier. I got it. Thank you. Greg Manis says video looks good, slightly quieter than usual. No doubt. Like I said, I'm in vacation mode, Greg. I'm more subdued, laid back way. But that's not true. It's all the headphone. Thanks for being here. Boyle Bugle says hump day, quick guess. Yeah, a little to get us there. Jeff Nestor says same thing. Steve Azano says nice glasses, Mr. Dad. Yeah, these are my old ones. And I like to take things when I travel that I don't care if I lose them or break them. So, and I can still see. That's a bigger thing. Blake Vidmer says, or Vidmer says, boiler up. Colbin Landrew announces in 10 minutes. Oh, that's right. I didn't do that on purpose. So if I get in the way, I'm not a big recruiting guy. I don't know if you guys have heard this from me a bunch, but yeah, hope he ends up playing with Ertl, like you say there. Let's see. Too bad because he'd be great. And oh, where does UConn? That's what he says. Blake says UConn. I don't follow recruiting all that tightly. I saw that Purdue was in his final group. There's a guy who always, hey, how are you? There's a guy that always includes me and tags Boiled Sports whenever there's a recruit that puts Purdue in their final group. I don't retweet that stuff, not because I don't like the guy. I appreciate doing that, but it's because I just don't put a lot of stock into recruiting until the guys are actually signed. So that's it. Let's see. Marshall Briggs says, afternoon. How are you, Marshall? I'm close to you, not all the way there, but closer to you than usual. Ron Gable says, sunscreen seems to be working well for you this week. Yes, I got a touch burnt, but you can see the guns right here. Everything's toned down. It's not red. I think it's a nice brown color, but getting a little tan on the shoulders, which is nice. Yeah, I can see it now. I've got such a delay. Boiler Seafried says, why are you interrupting my workday? Regardless, great to hear you. Yeah, I apologize. It's really, it's unkind of me to do such a thing. I apologize. Greg Manis says, people need to know we are currently living in a golden era of the good old days. Exactly, Greg. It's the thought that we've been talking about for a couple of years. Greg's been around. We are in the good old days. There's no doubt about that. We're in an era akin to the 1960s for Purdue basketball, an era akin to the what it's better than the late 80s, 90s. It's much better than that. I said the 1960s is about as close as we get, but this is better. It's a better time than that. And Matt Painter clearly showing over and over, not only is one of the best coaches in America, but everybody sees him as what he is now. The media sees it, other coaches see it, and he has earned the respect he gets. He needs a natty to put the crown on the man. So yeah, it is a golden era. And Greg, you're right. It's tough to recognize it when you're in it, but hopefully Purdue fans are level-headed enough to do it. Jason D says, "Happy Cats Week to you." Yes, same, uh, same, Jason. And I did not do a Cats AI generated image this time. I thought it was funny when I saw it. By the way, so well done to Jay Money. Ron White, here we go. Good to see you. Ted Berkey says, you had to start this during a meeting. Yeah, Ted. I was like, man, as soon as you sat down for that meeting, I was like, yeah, I'm jumping all over you and trying to pull you away from it because I'm an anti-corporate guy. I really am, kind of. But hey, do your meeting thing, and more power to you if you're a corporate person because you're better than me. I can't hold my tongue. Braden Bond, Breda Bond, Brad Eban. That's it, Brad Eban. There we go. Brad, of course, from Twitter. Sorry, Brad. I read it as one thing. If we had lost to Tennessee and not made the Final Four, I think the narrative absolutely changes. I agree. Had they not made the Final Four 2 years ago and miss it this year, then you could say he never makes it. Yeah, right. I agree. Continue says, be ready to lose exhibition in the first Big Ten road game. Yeah, that's a script we've seen before. It's not a foreign idea, so right on. Rob White says, what's his name? What's Landrew? Chose UConn, just like you said he would, so you got it. Brad Eban says, Eban, I'm sorry, Brad, says, last 7 years, 0 wins in regulation for the first, darn it, for the first Big Ten road game. A lot of stats in here. Sorry, I'm not going to do that. A lot of good stuff in there. If you guys are reading the comments, check that out. I just can't get into it. He has 2 comments in a row that talk about some. Um, I think these are all losses when Purdue was highly ranked. Sorry, I can't think and read at the same time. I apologize. I can barely read. Typovich one says, wearing my Purdue basketball merch proudly, surrounded by Louisville fans in New Albany, Indiana. Fight the good fight. Love hearing it. Greg Manis says, regarding football, feedback I get from fans of other programs is defense or definitely more positive. Under Walters, people will just look at me and say, woof. Even in losses this fall, they can tell Odom has put in work. And you're right. There's a weird perception thing happening because I'm far away from my normal digs. and wearing Purdue gear, or being around people, they said, "Wow, Purdue looks better this year. Good improvement." A lot of SEC fans where I am. So yeah, that's yeah. There's definitely not only perception that's improving, but the on-field result. People keep saying that's a good offense, which is funny. Statistically, Purdue is not a good offense, and I went over that a week ago with you guys. Purdue is an okay offense, and they could get better, but they're not a good offense. But everybody says they're a good offense because when they're playing highly ranked teams or teams that have a lot of athletes, Purdue's still putting up points. Obviously, a great improvement over last year, no doubt about that. Marshall Briggs says, "Daily speak it into existence" comment. Yeah, Google Me transfers to Penn State. Yeah, and I talked about that. The funny thing is, the IU fans, they don't, number one, don't have a very long memory because I've been doing this for a while. But the other thing is, yes, I do want Signetti not to be at IU any longer. And that idea in itself seems to be foreign to them, which is interesting because they wanted Brom gone. And I understand why they wanted Brom gone because Brom beat IU. Brom was a good coach. Brom took Purdue to a Big Ten championship. Signetti's really, really good. I do not like IU. So, yes, yes, indeed. I want Signetti gone from IU, and the sooner the better. I don't understand why that's a hard concept to get, even in the dense minds of many people on Twitter. Blake Vidmer says Landry went to UConn as predicted. Yep. South Haven Boilers says, "Who do you predict will be our first loss? I wish we could run the table, but we have to be realistic." I don't have the schedule in front of me, but there are some teams that I have concern about. Michigan is a team I have a lot of concern about just because they got some athletes that Purdue might have a hard time matching up with. The game is all about matchups. The thing that I think Michigan might have a hard time with Purdue is I think Purdue is going to be really physical on the glass this year. And I think when you have some guys that are slashers, I think Michigan has some players that are going to be very, very good from the wing. Um, I think if Purdue can stay in front of guys, just make it difficult, they're going to get a lot of rebounds. So, but Michigan is a team that I would be concerned about. I think for some reason, every year I'm concerned about Rutgers and Northwestern because of the past. And I know that's dumb, right? These aren't the same Rutgers and Northwestern teams of the past years that upset Purdue, but that weird association still is there for me. It doesn't make any damn sense. And obviously, Michigan State is always good. So why couldn't it be any of those? Oddly enough, my perspective on Auburn has changed a lot. I saw Auburn when I saw them on the schedule earlier, neutral site game in Indianapolis. I thought that could be a game where Purdue gets their first loss. I don't think that's the case now. So we could go over this, and we're going to. We plan on it. Probably, I don't know if we'll do it next week, but we do need to do it in the next week or two. We need to do it before November, right? November 4th, I think, is the first real game. So maybe we'll do it after the exhibition, but we can do a real deeper dive into the basketball season where we see that first loss. I don't know. Where do you guys see that first loss coming? I think it's hilarious whenever people say they're going to run the table, and I know that's tongue in cheek for almost every Purdue fan I know. Really hard in this era to win to win that many games. But where do you see Purdue's first loss? Um, I think it's I think the schedule is filled with potential pitfalls. If I'm being just really really honest, so and I think if you don't see that, you haven't watched enough college basketball. Motor City Boilers. He's talking to Greg. Nate Dolan says sorry about the Cubs, but remember, Cubs grow up to be Bears. Go Bears. Okay, so this is funny, and I'm glad somebody addressed this. Thank you, Nate. Really. Um, but I'm not a Cubs fan, and Jay has run with that, and I think it's hilarious. He did it, I think, for two straight. He did the post game, and he did it in the Handsome Hour. And hats off to Jay. We try to do that as often as possible to tweak each other to get something to stick that's not real, like it's not reality. And I'm not going to tell you all the other things we've done that aren't true that we've done to make fun of one of the other one of us in the in this uh, weird existence of having a podcast where you interact with so many people. But well done, Jay Money, and I thought the way he presented it was perfect. So yeah, it's not true. I'm not a Cubs fan. um yeah, I'm not a Cubs fan at all. If I like anybody, it's the Red Sox, but I'm really not much of a baseball fan. I grew up a White Sox fan, and so that makes it even funnier, I think. So yeah, Jay's funny. Greg Manis says he was manifesting that. Oh yes, he was. He was. Thank you, Greg. And it didn't come true. He spoke it into the universe, and shockingly,